This is a brief demonstration about adding drawings, master model drawings, to a product template, how that works, and how you can automatically copy associative master model drawings when you're using product templates from the reuse library. So this is a very, very simple part here. This is just a disk here with some holes in it. There's a hole in the middle and then a pattern of those holes going around the perimeter there. But we want to make a little template out of this and have a drawing associated with that too. Okay. And then show how we can copy those together. Let's see, in the history, I do have a little drawing for this part here. That's this guy. And so this is showing, we've got a section view in there just for fun. We've got 12 holes in this guy, and there's a whole call out that's looking at that, that's grabbing the chamfers and all those kind of things too. But anyway, this template drawing is going to be associated with the template part, right? And this is the template part, and you'll see. Oh, actually, we can see the assembly structure here. So, master model drawing. The drawing is the assembly master here, right? Or the assembly parent, rather. Sorry. And the part that's being described in the drawing or documented in the drawing is going to be a component within that drawing. So this is the assembly structure of the master model drawing and the component here. In this part, the design part, if we want to make this one a product template, we can do that. We can go to Tools, PTS Author, and I've created a really, really simple UI for this one here that just changes the number of holes. That's all it does, right? So we've got a collapsible group in there that's one of these guys. You just right-click and add one of those. And down in the expressions, I've grabbed that num holes, and I've added that num holes, and change the name here to number of holes just for fun, and so forth. But anyway, this is the UI. The trick here for getting the drawing associated with this template is in the Manager tab right here, right? In the middle, there's this template controlled data, and there's drawings group there. And right in here, you can right-click and say, actually, it's right on the drawings there, and say Add a Drawing, right? And you can do that and browse and select that drawing that's associated with that part. And this essentially teaches the design part. That if you'll remember, and then you save this, right? But that teaches the design part, which if you'll remember is the component in the assembly here, right? That it has a parent. Generally speaking, in NX assemblies, the components are not aware of their parent by default, right? The assembly parents understand where all of their children are, what their components are, where those components are located, and so forth. And the positioning of the components is stored in the assembly. So this is a little bit unique case here, where the assembly component actually now knows about its parent in this context. And we're going to use that when we instantiate this template. When we drag it out of the reuse library, that template is going to say, oh, I need to bring along my parent drawing. And it's going to go grab that parent drawing and create an associative copy of not just the part, but also a new copy of the drawing as well. Keep, of course, the new ones associated with each other as well, right? And as we do that, then you'll see that comes across nicely. So I'm going to close the drawing and choose to close the part and components. I want to have both of those closed. And then what we can do is go to the reuse library. And I'm doing this one now from the no part state. Here, you can do this in the context of an assembly as well. But in this context here, I'm going to do this copy template as new design, right? And as I do that, it's going to, you'll see flash the component. You saw it flash the drawing as it created it. And this is a new copy of this disk template now, disk template of 6. Here is this new unique one. And I can choose a number of holes here now, so maybe make this 8 holes instead of 12. And as I say OK there, of course, this part is updating. This one clearly has 8 holes now. And also, you'll notice it created that drawing file in the background, created an associative copy of that drawing file. This is also 06. This is just a naming rule that's in the customer defaults. You can use your Team Center naming rules and things like that to do this if you want to as well. But as we look at that drawing part now also is updated to the 8 holes. It has the whole call out here with the 8x on it and so forth. And so that can all be automated as part of that, right? New part file name down here, the drawing number is updated to the new part name and so forth, right? So that's using that. And again, that's from the no part state. We did that, adding that. If we close all these guys here and let's do an example where we've got a new part. Let's do a new part that's an assembly here. And as we do that, we'll add this the other way. So let's go to model and we'll choose an assembly. So now rather than adding that from the no part state, let's use, I don't need to assemble anything just yet. We'll go to the reuse library here, and now instead of that right-click copy template as new design, this would start it as its own assembly parent, right, or its own part. The default here is to add a copy to the assembly, right, and that's what we want to do here. So I can drag that out, for instance, and drop it into this assembly, and it's going to add this as a let's do 7. Add this as a component now in the context of my assembly, right? So it's added that disk template, and you'll notice, of course, that it's added the design part here in the assembly, this disk template 7, and at the same time it's created that associative drawing in the background. It's copied that, and it's associated the way it ought to be. That's all good, but the drawing part, of course, is not in the assembly itself, right? So we think that's pretty clean. Again, you've got the design part, teach the design part in the template inside PTS author. You can associate the drawing file with it, and then as we drag that out of the reuse library, whether we're doing that as a new design or whether we're adding it to an existing assembly, it'll add the new design part, create a copy of the new design part, create an associative new copy of the drawing as well, update the drawing as needed there, and keep those associated with each other, right? And of course maintain this master model assembly relationship. Put the design part into the target assembly, and of course not put the drawing into the target assembly. So that's kind of the process there, and pretty straightforward, and a very similar process to do finite element analysis, motion analysis kinds of things as part of a product template as well. All right. So I hope you find that useful.